We'll be all right until then. And then Michael
Dude,
Tesmer says, "Is that Andrew Luck talking?"
bro, I swear so many people say I'm Andrew Luck, bro. I don't get it, but people love comparing me to Andrew Luck. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't get it till now, and now that I see it, I can't unsee it.
Right.
Like,
It's great.
I really can't unsee it now. Like it's
Even
ingrained in my
Samantha
head now.
agrees. She's like, "Oh my god, he does look like Andrew."
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he
I
does.
just need to
Like,
let the beard grow out just a little bit more, maybe just a little bit more hair up here, and then I
yeah, just
got the look perfect.
Since you're
exactly.
here,
Like it's
let me get my kids to come meet Andrew Luck right quick.
don't say that. Don't say. Listen, listen. Your kid, they're gonna hold you to
That's
task,
hilarious.
especially your son. He looks like the type he don't forget nothing.
You don't.
But well, so moving on. We haven't had a lot of news, but the news that we have had has been surrounding the contract talks. So we have the two biggest ones this year. We have Michael Pittman, who's up for re-sign, and then we also have Jonathan Taylor. So if there's been anything that you've heard, or it's just like, or just what you think, what is going on regarding these contracts that they're dealing with right now?
Well, I haven't heard anything specifically from me yet, but I mean, from my perspective, um, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Chris Ballard definitely will pay his own guys, like the people that he brings
Yeah,
in, the guys he has confidence in. He's going to give them what he thinks they deserve, and that's fair. You know, I mean, that's been one of those situations early on. Chris Ballard was stingy with some of the guys that Grigson brought in, or, you know, some of these draft picks that he didn't like, you know, things like that. But when it came to bringing in free agents he wanted and bringing in draft picks that he wants, obviously you see Quentin Nelson and Shaq Leonard, the deals that they got, you know, those kinds
yeah,
of key cornerstone pieces. And regardless of what any of us here think about the running back position, I mean, Chris Ballard loves Jonathan Taylor. Okay. So I
yes,
definitely
yes,
know
absolutely,
that he is going to work tirelessly to try and get a deal done with Jonathan Taylor. The ultimate question is Jonathan Taylor going to play the hardball thing with Chris Ballard? Because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's the truth of the NFL. The running back position has deteriorated so much.
yeah,
Even the top tier guys, you know, in the grand scheme of things, don't make a huge difference in the offenses. I mean, you look at it, Dalvin Cook, one of the top 5 best running backs in the league, just got cut by the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, that's
yeah,
crazy to think about, that the top 5 running back in this league gets cut by his team. It just had 1,200 yards this last year, and they had a semi down year at times, and that's just crazy to think about. And then, of course, you know, we saw what Christian McCaffrey did with San Francisco. Of course, he was huge in that. But of course, you know, that was Shanahan's offense. They've already got great weapons. He just already fit into the mold of what it was. The
yeah,
ultimate question you need to ask with is, do you really want Jonathan Taylor potentially playing for somebody else? Because if you have to face him again, I mean, that's rough. That's really rough. And for me personally, if you're going to use a franchise tag on anybody, franchise tag Jonathan Taylor as much as you can until you're ready to give him a contract again. I mean, he
yeah,
may not go for it. He may not like that, but I think you could potentially get him on the franchise tag after this year. And see where you can go from there. Kind of hard to tell right now because with Michael Pittman too, I mean, obviously Michael Pittman said, I'm willing to wait until the end, you know, to do that.
yeah,
But obviously Stephen Holder from ESPN was talking about how Jonathan Taylor said, I would like to, you know, get a deal done, you know, this before this off season is over. And I think the
yeah.
Colts would like to do that too, because I don't think the Colts want Jonathan Taylor to test free agency, even for a
No.
minute. I mean,
No,
because there's a lot of other teams that'll go call it. So,
yeah, oh
I
yeah,
mean, I don't know how much they need to give him. I don't know what he's willing to take, because he obviously sees the trend and, you know, the disrespect that the running back position is getting right now. But at the same time, I'm thinking, I mean, I love Jonathan Taylor and I want him to stay, but if I'm having to pay him, a grave amount of money, I'm telling Ballard, bro, you got to be stingy with some of these contracts here because you're already overpaying some guys. Let's not do the same with Jonathan Taylor here.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it's just like one of the things that we dealt with a few weeks ago was we don't know how this Isaiah Rodgers situation is going to jump up, but he was due for contract this year. So, it's just I think that might take a name off of that list of guys who would need to be re-signed, which I mean, I don't know how much that factors into it, but unfortunately, it's just like we won't know until we get to that point. Now, I'm going to say a bigger thing that I'm going to say is that, or a bigger question is Ballard prioritizing one contract over another? Like, do you feel like he's kind of prioritizing Jonathan Taylor over Michael Pittman or Michael Pittman over Jonathan Taylor? Like, what do you think his mindset is on all of this right now?
Well, no doubt. I think that he wants to bring both of these guys back. He drafted them in back-to-back second-round picks in the 2020 draft. He loves both of these guys. Clearly, they are dime a dozen, but at the same time, I do have to wonder. I mean, and this season's really going to dictate a lot because Jonathan Taylor, the only problem with Jonathan Taylor was he got hurt this last year. It's the only problem he had. Outside of that, if Jonathan Taylor comes back and gets another 1,400 yard season and does what he does, then I have no problem with saying Ballard's going to find a way to get a deal done. Now, the question is with Michael Pittman. And say what you want about the quarterback situation and, the lack of maybe some consistency with getting Michael Pittman a contract. The problem is last year we saw a decline in Pittman from a play standpoint. I know the quarterback situation was really bad and there were some issues there. But, I mean, at the end of games last year, I mean, he was dropping passes that should have been catches and not running correct routes, not in communication with the quarterback, and dropping passes that, like I said, could have been game changers if he catches them. So, I mean, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just fatigue. Maybe it was just plain, giving up like the rest of the team did at times.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But I mean, the only way I see Michael Pittman getting a solid deal out of Ballard is if he gets another 1,000 yard season like he did in 2021 and shows us some of that 2021 form Michael Pittman, because that was a wide receiver that was easily a number 2 on any football team